thank you all for having me here. Do we have any entrepreneurs? Right there. Business people, own your own company? Yeah. That's great. Because, anybody here ever seen Shark Tank? I'm not Mr. Wonderful. I'm Mr. Super Wonderful. Yeah, he's a little bit confused about life, but that's okay. We won't get mad at him. So, let me tell you a little bit about myself. You probably know me a little bit from Shark Tank. You know me a little bit from the Dallas Mavericks. Hey, by the way, for Pistons fans, you're all going to love Timmy Hardaway. He's going to be really, really, really good. Yeah, there you go. So in any event, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My dad did upholstery on cars. My mom did odd jobs. Neither one ever went to college. And my dad used to bring me to where he went to work. And he would have me sweep the floors and just do whatever and make a few bucks. And I was like, Dad, do you want me to ever work here? He was like, no. No. My dad would get up to go to work at 6:30, be at work at 7, get back at 6, 5 days a week, Saturday, half a day. I said, no, I don't want you to work here. I want you to be more and do more, to do for yourself. And he would get me to ask a really simple question. And I know those of you who are entrepreneurs, all of us ask because we're Americans. We ask ourselves, why not me? Why can't I be the one who starts a business and turns it into something more? Why can't I be the one who has a dream and it comes true? Why not me? And all of you who are business owners have done that before, haven't you? Because that's the thing about this country. All of us, the thing that makes this country different than every other country in the world. You can go anywhere in the world and they'll tell you about the American dream. That's why people want to come here to live. Because they know the American dream is alive and well. We've all had that feeling, right? You have an idea. And it's like, oh, you get a little feeling right there. Remember that? Then you go to your friend. What do you think? He's like, oh, that's a good idea. Sound familiar? And then you go to Google and you, nobody's doing it. You're like, let's go. But then 99% of people stop. They just stop and they don't go forward. But the good news is, there are 33 million companies, small businesses in this country. 33 million that are small. You know how many businesses are big, 500 more employees? 0.05% of that 33 million. So it's the people in this room that are changing the country. This is people in this room who are driving the economy. There is a kid in Grand Rapids right now, probably somewhere down the street, that's going through the same thing. They're having that idea. And they're thinking, oh, that's a great idea. And I love that all of you are here right now because it's part of what Kamala Harris is about. She wants every kid in America, she wants adults, everybody to ask themselves, why not me? Because when that kid's sitting there, particularly the way things have been in the past, when we were under Donald Trump before and they weren't certain about their future, they weren't certain whether people even respected them. You want a president, when that kid has that dream, when that adult has that dream, and they ask, why not me? You want a president who can say, like Kamala Harris will say, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. Because that's what Kamala Harris is about. Kamala Harris is about being a president who puts everybody here in a position to succeed and to even make more money. You know, let me go forward on my story some. So I went from Pittsburgh to Indiana to go to college. Yeah. There you go. Hoosiers 7-0. For one time, there you go. Anyways, so I went from Indiana, and then I moved down to Dallas. And when I got to Dallas, I didn't have a job. I had a Fiat that had a hole in the floorboard, and every 60 miles I had to put oil in. And I found some of my buddies who had asked me to come down, and they're like, come on, move in with us. Well, they had a 3-bedroom apartment, and I was the 6th guy in. And so I was the one who had to sleep on the floor. I was the one who got a job at night working as a bartender in the bar back, and that's how I got started. But I know what it's like to eat mustard and ketchup sandwiches. And then after my job as a bartender, I got a job working at a software store. And I'm thinking, okay, I got a regular job at a software store. 9 months in, remember, I'm living in this dome with 5 roommates. Let me just tell you, 23, 24-year-old guys, 6 in one 3-bedroom apartment. It was not pleasant. It smelled a lot. But anyways, So I'm sleeping on the floor. Finally, one day at this job, is at a software store called Your Business Software. And I go to my boss, and I'm like, Michael, that was his name. I'm like, my job is to sweep the floor, wipe down the windows, open the door to make sure, retail customers came in. And I'd be there for him. I'm like, Michael, I've got this deal I'm going to close. It's a $15,000 sale. My commission was $1,500. That meant I could move out, we called it the hellhole. I could move out of the hellhole and get my own apartment. So I went to Michael, I said, I got someone to cover with me for me. I'm going to go pick up this check. And I'm going to come back and enter. He goes, no, I need you to open the store. I'm like, I got it covered, Michael. He says, no. Like, I made the executive decision thinking, if I go out and bring back a $15,000 check, he's going to be like, okay, I was wrong. I bring it back, he fires me. Like that. So here I am, sleeping on the floor, mustard and ketchup sandwiches, gained 20 pounds because I would take $5 to the local pub where they had all the fried mushrooms and they would see me coming and go, oh no, Anyway, so I was stuck. But fortunately, I was able to find one business, a company called Architectural Lighting. And I said to them, look, I'm broke. I got nothing. Eating mustard and ketchup sandwiches. If you front me this $500 for the software I know you want, if it doesn't work, I'm going to come here and wash your car, sweep your floor, walk your dog, I don't care. Fortunately, it worked. And I was able to turn that into a company called Micro Solutions that I built up to 80 people, went 7 years without a vacation. 7 years without a vacation, because I know what it's like to grind. I know what it is to be an entrepreneur and have your back against the wall. But then I was able to sell it. $6 million, which is a lot of money. But you know what I'm most proud of? $1 million of that went to the employees. And then I went and turned that into another company. So right around 1995, one of my buddies from Indiana, the Hoosiers, comes up and says, there's this new thing called the internet. There's got to be a way we can listen to Indiana basketball down in Dallas. I'm like, cool, let me think about that. And so literally we started a company called AudioNet, and that was the very first streaming company. And so we built that up, took it public. It was the biggest IPO in the history of the stock market, and I sold it for a lot of money. But the best part about that is we had 330 employees when we sold it. 300 of them became millionaires. And then fast forward, when I sold part of the Mavs, we paid out almost $50 million in bonuses to fewer than 400 employees. So the point being there, business can do good. Business can do well. But not everybody thinks like that. I know the power of broke. You all know the power of broke when your back's against the wall. You think Donald Trump knows the power of broke? You think Donald Trump ever slept on the floor? You think Donald Trump ever ate mustard and ketchup sandwiches? Could you imagine? Please, can I have some Grey Poupon with my mustard and ketchup? That's not going to happen. In a Trump world, it just doesn't work like that. He just doesn't understand business. In a Kamala Harris world, she does. Like Doug was saying, she's been there. She's been through the struggle. She knows what the power of broke is. She knows that the biggest businesses will start with the smallest grain. Just one individual right here in Grand Rapids can turn it around. When they've asked themselves, why not me? They can turn it around and turn it into something. Donald Trump, on the other hand, he does things like tariffs. Where he wants, look, tariffs can be strategic, okay, at times, but across the board tariffs, that's just dumb. And you know why it's really dumb? People think, he talks about, well, we're going to bring manufacturing back from overseas here. Let me ask you all a question. How many of you own an overseas manufacturing plant? No factories in some country somewhere? No. It doesn't help small businesses. Now remember, small businesses are 99.5% of all businesses. Small businesses create more than 55% of new jobs. Do small businesses matter? Yes. Small businesses are everything. That's where the growth comes from, and Kamala understands that. And I'm going to tell you why tariffs are really, really bad for small business. People don't realize that some of the most popular products, some of the things we buy all the time on a daily basis are made in China. It's just the way it is. It's cheaper. I mean, the reality is, we like to think we like to pay up for American products, but we don't. You guys know that. You know, you're going to buy what's most cost effective for your family. Donald Trump doesn't know that. So when he just starts talking about a 60% tariff on all things from China, your books are going up for school. Sporting goods, products, bats, balls, all the things you want to get for your kids, going up in price. Clothes, going up in price. Everything's going up in price. And when those things go up for the people, anybody here import goods at all? Any retailers here? No? Okay. Well, I'll still use this example. When those products go up in price, that means people sell less. The retailers sell less. But it's even worse than that. Because the things I just mentioned, those are the things you're looking at buying for your kids and your family for Christmas. So if prices go up because he does imports, he puts a 60% tariff on imports from China, what happens? You're not able to buy as much for your family for Christmas. Donald Trump is the Grinch that's trying to steal your Christmas. Am I wrong? No. And when those prices go up and you can't buy all those presents, not only are you heartbroken, but think about retail stores. The knick-knack store down the street that's been there forever, the clothing store was like, how do you guys stay in business? Oh, they got great clothes that they pick out. Those companies get it even worse. You know what they say, where that stuff goes downstream, right? It goes right on them. He's trying to put them out of business, and he doesn't even know. That's the worst possible part. You've got to know about these things. He just doesn't care. The distributors, the retailers, he just doesn't care. He'll jack up those prices and not care less. But then there's healthcare. Those of you with businesses, what's it like dealing with healthcare? It's scary as hell, isn't it? Because it's almost impossible for a small business to provide all the healthcare you want to compete with bigger businesses. And then, if they use the ACA, which is a great program, they have a higher deductible. And so the prices, when you see these pharmaceutical companies, and it's not even the manufacturers as much as the middlemen, jack up the price, it's terrifying, isn't it? Because when someone in your company gets sick, who worries just as much as the person who got sick? You. It's your business. These are your employees that work for you. And so it's terrifying to know that not only can you not help them, they can't help themselves, and they can't show up for work. And when they can't show up to work, who's responsible? You. Right? It's hard enough to run a business, let alone being terrified about your healthcare costs. Kamala Harris understands that. You've heard her talk about getting rid of the pharmacy middleman. They're called pharmacy benefit managers. And when you get rid of the pharmacy benefit managers, the big ones, the not transparent ones that jack up prices, when you get rid of them, your drug costs are going to go down 20 or 30%. So when people talk about inflation, and Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill, let me just tell you how stupid that is, right? Because if everybody drills, the price goes down. If the price goes down, are people going to keep on drilling? No, they stop, right? It just doesn't make any economic sense. But, yeah, our costs have gone up 19, 20% over the last 4 years. That's a fact. This drilling is not going to change that. But if your healthcare costs, particularly starting with your medications for you and your employees and your family, go down 20, 30% or more, will that more make up for it? Yeah. Yes. When your healthcare costs go down because we're instituting new programs, will that make up for it? Yeah. Yes. That's the point. So when we talk about inflation, it is what it is, right? It's unfortunate, it's painful, but there's a way to compensate for it. And what Kamala Harris is doing to eliminate the middlemen in pharmacy and healthcare, that's going to push your costs down. And as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, not only is that helping you, it's helping all your employees. And when it helps all your employees, that helps the business. When it helps the business, that helps the community. When it helps the community, that helps everyone. So I want to open up time for questions, but I want you to know this. Kamala Harris understands the power of God. Kamala Harris understands when you're looking in your kid's eyes, and just like my dad looked at me, my dad, who literally lost an eye trying to change someone's upholstery in their car, and told me that he didn't want me to have the same life he did. And I've got to the point of why not me? Kamala Harris wants you to look in the eyes of your children like my dad to me, and say to them, I want you to say, why not me? And there is a kid here in Grand Rapids who's thinking to themselves, why not me? And Kamala Harris is here to encourage you. I had more beer than Doug, by the way. Kamala Harris is here to encourage you, your family, this country, to make sure that the American dream happens for all of you. Now, before I go to questioning, I have a favor to ask. It's not a big favor. For those of you who own businesses, would you like to make more money? Yes. Would you like help growing your business? Yes. Would you like community development funds to increase so there would be more? Yes. Well, then you're going to have to spend these next 16 days going out and recruiting people to vote. Yes. You can already vote now. So literally, one of the most important things you can do to make money as an entrepreneur, as a capitalist, and you heard Doug say, Kamala is a capitalist. And let me just tell you, Kamala, I sat and talked to her the other day. She goes, I love Shark Tank. And she started telling me about doers. You know, I watch Shark Tank all the time, even the repeats. And I'm like, oh, I like you even more now. But Kamala Harris understands what it takes to help you grow your business, and she's putting in those programs. But if she doesn't win, we go back. She will win, right? But it's going to take we can't take that for granted. We can't take it for granted. I mean, we want a landslide, but it's going to take everybody going out there. So literally, the most important thing you can do, don't even think about politics. Don't even think of it as any way other than your business, your pocketbook, your future. Is it worth going out there and talking to your friends and saying, come on in, I'm going to walk you to the ballot. I'm going to help you send in your mail ballot. Is it worth it? Yes. 16 days. Can you spend 16 days spending a little bit of time? I already know as entrepreneurs, you're already grinders. If you live in Grand Rapids and you have a company, you're a grinder. I need you to keep on grinding. So go out there and take people to the polls. Elon Musk wants to pay them to go to the polls. We don't need to do that because we know people believe. So I need you to do all of that. Will you go out? I know it's warm, but I want to answer questions for anybody who has any business question, anything, and I'll let you guys pass around the mics, and we'll go. Oh, you got somebody to pass around the mics.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
My name is Cheryl Fisher. Mark here just said, why me? Why not me? Here. Read that. That will eliminate all industrial emissions into our environment. Why not me?
Exactly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be the biggest industry in the globe.
I got it.
Right here. First, I do want to say thank you because you do so much, and I can sit here and talk all day about the ways that you've influenced my life, and you don't have to be running around doing all this right now. So thank you. You've seen I have a business, but I'm not going to ask a business question. You've seen so much of the world. Like, why do you think there's so many people that still want to vote for Trump?
So I can give a lot of different answers, but he's been doing this for 10 years. He's been in the public eye for 50 years. And some people just get caught up in that. And then you add to that social media, even 10 years ago, before you ran the first time, you couldn't go to social media and find a lot of other people who would agree with someone like him. But now you can go on social media and find somebody who agrees with you. And when you find somebody, if you're a little bit out there, maybe not mainstream in your feelings, you can find people that feel that way. And I think that just reinforces it and reinforces it. And social media reinforces that. And so I think that's where he's gotten where he's gotten. But let me just add. Let me tell you about a woman, a very strong woman, who when she first started 13 weeks ago, had negative favorability ratings. People didn't even know. Donald Trump even used to say, "What's her name?" People didn't know who she was. And so you have this guy who's been a celebrity forever, who was the president, who's been campaigning ever since he got his ass kicked as president, right? And then this woman, Kamala Harris, comes in and in 13 weeks catches up. All the more reason why we have to get out.
So I saw you on Bill Maher on Friday. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So my question surrounds kind of your business experience. When Kamala wins, what would be a tangible recommendation that you give to her on day one?
That's a great question, and I will help her as much as I can. I'm not looking for a job. I'm not looking to be in the cabinet or anything like that, but I'll advise her just like I've done for people in the past. I think we have to deal with the deficit, and I think I talked to her about it, and if you heard her Pittsburgh speech, she talked about it took only 1 year to build the Empire State Building, and now it would take who knows how long. And she talked about using technology to reduce the friction and reduce the permitting time. That's the first step, because all that friction is expensive. All that permitting and getting approvals is expensive. And so when you cut that back, that's a first step towards reducing the deficit. Then I talked to her about programs. Look, she's smart. When she was the Attorney General, there were programs she cut. And she understands there are some programs, look, it's just the nature of reality. Not all programs work. And she knows that. She can tell me what she would cut. I didn't ask, but she understands that that's the case. And so talking about the deficit and it being important, because we all hear stories about the deficits. And let me just tell you, the other guy has no idea either. He keeps on saying, he's like Oprah these days. You get a tax cut. You get a tax cut. You get, I'll give you this. I'll give you that. He has no clue about cutting the deficit. He says Elon Musk is going to cut the deficit, Mr. Efficiency. Look, Elon's one of the best entrepreneurs ever, and you can't take that away from him. But he's also the world's biggest troll. And how he is going to overcome all the conflicts of interest, because you can't run the Department of Efficiency and be SpaceX and Tesla and Starlink and all these other things. That's a conflict of interest. So it'll be well, he'll never get the chance, fortunately. But Kamala understands that the deficit isn't a positive, and there are ways to do it. She understands the technological side. When Donald Trump talks about AI, Kamala talks about AI and says, okay, we can improve efficiency. We want to improve, and enhance technology because that enhances our competitiveness globally. And when AI companies grow, that means more exports and more business for everybody. Donald says, the AI. What the hell is the AI? And then he talks about uses more electricity. Who cares? It's an issue, don't get me wrong, but that's not what AI is all about. So Kamala gets technology, she understands the impact on the economy, she understands the impact on growth, she understands how to use it to reduce the deficit, and she knows not all programs are perfect. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Hello. My name is Adrienne Johnson, and I've been doing web and graphic design work as an entrepreneur since 2016 as Rebellious Creatives, and I focus on small businesses and startups. So my question is keeping a business like that afloat because I'm a one-woman show. How do you keep finances afloat when it comes to keeping programs and everything else?
Look, I've done web development. That first company I told you about, the systems integration, I wrote software, and it was just me to start. And it takes time to build a customer base. And that's the hard part. You just have to keep on doing a great job for your customers and understanding that when you're in the community and you're helping them grow, because that's what web design does, right? That's what digital marketing does. You help people grow. It's not going to be easy. There are no shortcuts. I told you I went 7 years without a vacation. I lived for too long sleeping on the floor with my one towel that I stole from Motel 6. Sorry, Motel 6. You can bill me, I got it. But you get my point. I wish I could tell you, look, there are tools that Kamala's coming out with to help you raise funding. The Community Development Fund, she's a big proponent of, and she'll grow those. But the honest answer is you have to grow a little bit more. And the way to grow a one-person shop is to build up enough, like what I did. You build up enough business where you need a second person. And it pays for that second person. And then you get that second person, and then you get the third. And then once you start rolling, the referrals start coming in. So it's a grind, but I know you can do it. Good luck.
Over in front of you.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Right here. Sorry. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. I have a question actually about small businesses. I'm trying to set up an e-commerce business, and what you mentioned about China is actually so true. It is scary, the tariffs, and it just doesn't know what that actually means in the bottom
What kind of
line.
e-commerce business are you trying to set up?
Retail.
Okay.
Retail e-commerce.
Okay.
Well, right now I have proudchildless.catradio.com, but
There you go.
but this is actually for me to learn in order to like have a more permanent business. But
Right.
my question is that a lot of the products, especially in e-commerce, come from China.
Yep.
And I actually firmly believe that China will be bankrupt maybe by 2030, but that's another story. So I would love to buy more products here, maybe in the USA, but it's impossible as a small
It's
business.
tough, yeah.
So what do you recommend for, for small businesses who do want to support other small businesses in the US, but I mean, it's just really hard,
It's
it's
a
very
great question,
expensive, yeah.
I literally invested in a company called Cultivate.us, and it's kind of like a made in America version of Honey, so that you can go there, download it as an add-on to your browser, and it helps you find made in America companies, but they're more expensive. And you've got to make that choice. And so if you're going to be in retail, particularly with Temu and Shine and all that, that makes it even more difficult. But you've got to find an angle that makes you unique. You look on Etsy and to a lesser extent eBay, where people just use their creativity. And so if you have a way to define what makes your site different and differentiated, then that's where you start. Because then people can say, oh, I can get this here. And then you grow it up some, and then you bring it on Shark Tank.
Mark, thank you for all that you have done.
Thank you.
My question is, what will it take and how long will it take to introduce high-speed rail in America?
That I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know. I have no clue. At least I'm honest about that. How long will it take for high-speed rail to come to America? I know there's been conversations everywhere, but it's something I've avoided because it's not my area of expertise. Yes, sir.
My name is Isaac James. I own a lawn business that I've owned for 2 years. I'm 14 years old. My question is, how do you manage school and business at the same time?
Well, I'm a junior in high school, and let me tell you, it's hard. When I had my business, even just out of college, it's hard to manage your time and it's hard to balance. But the good news is there's weekends, and that's what you have to take advantage of. And I'll say this to all businesses, because this is a lesson I think that I learned the hard way. Sometimes we like to chase revenue. We think like if we get up to 100,000 in revenue or $1 million in revenue, that's more important. It's not. What's most important, Isaac, is how much money you put in your pocket, the cash you have in the bank. And so if you find yourself with too many people trying to buy your service, trying to get the line, raise your price. Seriously, because what's the worst, if you're able to raise your price, now you're making more money. And I think sometimes when you have a small business, it's terrifying to try to raise your prices because you don't know, because it's just you. And if they say no, now you feel bad. It's like you feel like you have to, work hard to try to get them back. But just talk to them. What I've learned is when I communicate with my customers, it's like when the pandemic hit, and everybody was like, what do we do? Well, the best scenario was, they're scared too. Just go talk to them. And like Isaac, when you're starting a business, talk to somebody and you say, look, I'm really, really busy right now. My whole weekends are taken up mowing lawns. But so if I'm going to add you as a customer, I have to raise my price from whatever it is to whatever it is plus $10. And if you're on your website, right, and you're doing e-commerce, and you're so unique that this is the only place you can get what you sell, then it's okay to push the ball forward. Because it's not about the top line, it's about the bottom line. Great job, Isaac. one more question. Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers. Thank you for everything you do for IU, by the way. It's awesome. So I have a lot of Republican friends, especially some from IU. And the reason, I asked them about why the Republicans, maybe some of them are still supporting Trump, some aren't, but they're Republicans because of fiscal policy. And a lot of their money is tied up in the market. So what should I say to them? A Trump market versus a Harris?
Well, just have to look at the numbers first, right?
What do you see down the road? And what
Right, so one of the things that people always talk about is an unrealized capital gains tax. And they'll always, I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen. The unrealized capital gains was part of a proposal that was part of the 2024 budget, and it was never actually proposed. It's not going to be proposed. And so that's the first thing I always tell people. And I said this somewhere else, and I'll say it again. If for some reason during the Harris administration, unrealized capital gains tax was passed, I would work against Kamala to not have another term, because I think it's that bad. And I think she'll be the best president ever. But when it comes to business, and she gets that. We had that conversation. Her team gets that. That's why it's not been proposed. So I'm not worried in the least, but that's why I can say that. But, so one, you tell them unrealized capital gains tax is not going to happen. Two, you tell them, okay, she's talked about raising the rate for corporations. Well, here's a couple points. Remember I said that only 20,000 of 33 million companies were larger companies? Well, that's about the same number for people who are C Corps, right, that pay that tax. So 99.5% of companies are passed through, so they pay the individual tax. And what does she say about anybody making $400,000 or less? It's the same or going down. So there's a good chance that if they're a small business, or they're investing in small businesses as investors, their rates are going down. And that's going to help them more. But wait, there's more. You got it. Just stability. Look at John Deere. John Deere was just minding its own business, and one day they woke up a couple weeks ago and Donald Trump was going to tariff them 200%. Now what he did say is their competitors that sell, right, that are only getting tariffed 10%. Chinese companies that they compete with that are only getting tariffed, 10 or 20, where other foreign companies are only getting tariffed 10 or 20%. So he made it so that their competition would have a lower price than John Deere. We don't need that. So as entrepreneurs, as investors, they'll appreciate that. Just stability matters. You don't want a president who wakes up and decides they're going to tweet, at me, let's say, because I made him mad. Because when you're president, a lot of people will make you mad. So no capital gains tax on unearned income, right? For 99.5% of people, rates are going down. Tariffs, the other point I'll make is 28% tax rate versus 21%. 21% plus 20% tariffs. When you do your cost of goods and add it all up, which I've done, it's more expensive than paying a 28% rate. So the numbers are in Kamala's favor across the board. It's just people don't like to do the math. But the math is the math. 21% rate that he wants, plus a 20% across the board tariff or higher, it's cheaper with 28% from Kamala. So everybody, thank you so much. Remember, we have 16 days. And do this as an entrepreneur. Go out and find people and bring them to vote. It'll be the best thing you ever can do for your own bank account, because Kamala Harris will make you a whole lot richer than Donald Trump. Thank you, everybody.